Well, hello everyone. This is Della, and I'm here to talk about wellness and decolonization. And this is for anyone of African descent across the diaspora. Now, I'm in America, so a lot of things will be focused on African Americans or financial black, whatever you choose to call yourself at this day and time, because we have like a quadrillion names. So right now I'm just sticking with African American. But if you are from another country, I'm quite sure you probably see some things or hear some things that resonate with you. Now, first of all, we all have to remember that every person that is of African descent has been colonized. We have been colonized the worst because we were abused mentally and physically to do free labor. Um, we were tortured, our ancestors. And as I speak in 2026 of April, they're still doing the same thing. Mentally abused. It's systematic things that they do. So I would like to introduce you guys, if you haven't already read it or you haven't already seen her do any videos on YouTube. This book, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. This is a very awesome book. I advise everyone to read it. Even listen to her on the YouTube channel. It's not the same as actually reading. It's a difference. And it's something in here that I want to read to everyone. And before I start reading, I retired, of course, in January, but it was an individual that I was working with. And because she was one of the superiors at the building, and because she has a degree, I don't. Not yet. I'm getting to that. And what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone that has a degree. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone that has a degree. I have family members with degrees, and I want one. But what I want to say is, when I was telling her about this, she was acting like she didn't have it, post-traumatic slave syndrome. Now, I don't care if you got 12 degrees with 26 alphabets behind each one. You still have post-traumatic slave syndrome if you are of African descent. So whatever you acquired in school, it's not going to keep you from not having it. Okay? So I just wanted to put that out there. And maybe if I would have been a different individual, maybe she would have listened. But sometimes when people are in charge of you, they feel like you don't know anything for some reason. I don't know. But I want to read you something out of the book. And it says, behavior can be affected by events in previous generations which have been passed on through a form of genetic memory. A body of research shows that your DNA may contain a biological memory of the stress your grandparents endured, Can trauma, stress, and even nightmares be passed down from generation to generation? Scientists say yes. Because it takes over a million and something ancestors to create who we are today. So it's something else I want to read also from out of the book. It says post-traumatic slave syndrome is a condition that exists with a population has when a population has experienced multi-generational trauma resulting from centuries of slavery and continues to experience oppression, and into into the institutional racism today. Multi-generational trauma, together with continued oppression and an absence of opportunity to access the benefits available in the society, led to post-traumatic slave syndrome. A syndrome is a pattern of behaviors that is brought about by specific circumstances. Okay. So we all have post-traumatic slave syndrome. We carrying the burdens and the oppression and everything that our ancestors before us, um, whatever our parents had, whatever their parents had, and so on and so forth. Certain things was passed down generation. So unfortunately, we do carry these things, and it's a healing process. First, you have to admit that you have it, because if you don't admit that you have it, you're not really going to heal from it. Excuse me. You're really not going to heal from it. You're going to continually go on not understanding what's really going on. Like today, we're still going through the same trauma on a different level, but nevertheless, it's the same trauma. The same trauma that our ancestors have endured. But this generation fighting back in the middle of the street, they don't care. And you really have to know, as a African descent, you really have to know who you are, because guess what? They know who you are. That's why they're doing what they're doing, because they know who you are. Do you know who you are? Is the thing. So you have to learn who you are in order to break up out of the system. It's a matrix that they had us in. They had our ancestors in a matrix. They have us in a matrix, but a lot of people are breaking out of the matrix. And even some other ethnic groups are breaking out of the matrix. But it's very important for African Americans or anyone around the diaspora that is of African descendant, you need to break out of the matrix. So we have an orange person running the matrix now. And he's trying to do everything to dismiss our history. Because in his mind, when he grew up, black people believed whatever they said and didn't know anything about their history. They kept us in the matrix of being enslaved and civil rights here in America. They kept us in the matrix of your ancestors didn't do nothing or whatever. But our ancestors taught them everything they know. Our ancestors taught them how to clean their bodies. Our ancestors taught them everything. And because our ancestors, and even some of us today, are too nice in certain things, instead of keeping certain things to ourselves, and they feel like that they can mentally control and brainwash us like they did in the past. But that matrix do not longer work. We're in a 5D situation now. That was 3D. We're in a 5D. And something just came across me. I don't know if anyone remember the Fifth Dimension. It's a singer group. And I want you to go to YouTube and bring up the Fifth Dimension as they sing Age of Aquarius, and then they break into Let the Sun Shine In. It's a connection there. But anyway, we have to decolonize ourselves. And this is another book that I want to bring up. It's called 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind by Philip Scott. He's also on YouTube. 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind by Philip Scott. And we got a lot to decolonize. The knowledge of self. We have to know ourselves. That's just one. I'm not going to give you all of them. That's just one. We have to know ourselves. That's the most important one. And a lot of us going around with mental issues. Now, I retired from working from the public school system here where I live. And even some of the staff have mental issues. But anyway, I'm just saying, the reason why it's a lot of mental issues with the Black community is because we were taken out of where we belong. Or it might have been Black people here already before colonization, and we were still taken out of where we belong because we were doing certain things. And so we became people that they captured from war, enemies of the war. They captured our ancestors that were already here, and then they brought other ancestors here from the continent of the motherland. So when you take a person out of their element, you strip them of their name, you strip them of where they live, you strip them of their spirituality, you strip them of their native tongue. You could pretty much tell them anything. You can control them at that point. But because today, 2026, is so much information out here, people are waking up. Okay, so the mental illness is coming from we're not living like we're supposed to. Number one, we're living on the wrong calendar. It's supposed to be 13 months with 28 days in each month. We're living off the wrong calendar. They just discombobulated everything. People of African descent live by nature. We ate natural foods that wasn't poisoned with chemicals. Everything was clean and fresh. And we went by nature. Our ancestors did a lot of stuff by nature, by the moon, by the sun. Just like they can look and see the trees blow and know what's about to happen. Just like I used to be able to smell the rain. Can't even smell the rain anymore when it get ready to rain. So they did so much stuff. Chemicals, they just throwing everyone off balance. And so our ancestors were nature people. And that's why we were able to do a lot of things and didn't get as sick as we do today. We live longer lives because we ate better. We didn't have all the stresses that we have today. Stress number one, I'm not telling nobody not to go to work because I understand you have to go to work. But I'm just using this as an example of the stress that was laid upon us. Working 40 hours a week, that you be so tired that you can't even think about doing something else where you don't have to work. So, and then you get what, 48 hours to do what you want to do, to snap out of what you went through for the 40 hours that you put in for making somebody else rich. We were used to having our own things. We were used to having our own businesses and generating our own wealth. We wasn't used to living up under someone else's system. And that's what's wrong with black people today. We're living up under someone's system that is not made to benefit us, but is made to benefit them. And that's why the mental illnesses are coming in. And people are going on killing sprees and everything. Because of the matrix they set forth was just to benefit them and no one else. So we have to learn to decolonize ourselves. We have to learn that, yes, we have post-traumatic slave syndrome and work with that so we can get out of this predicament that they have put us in. Because a lot of the people, because I worked around students that have disabilities. I've worked around students from 18 to 26 with disabilities. There are many different types of disabilities and many different stages of autism. And some people have a lot of stuff mixed up. They might have 2 or 3 things mixed in with that. But being around some of these students, they pick up spirit. Some of them are nonverbal. They can understand what you're saying. But most important, people with that what we call disabilities and autism, they pick up on your spirit, your energy, your vibrations. And because no one really know enough about the frequencies to that extent, we consider they have disabilities. I really don't think it's a disability. I think it's something that we have yet to tap into, that they need to tell us about. They need to give us some information, but we don't know how to tap into it. So I don't think it's disabilities. I think it's our inability to grasp what they really want to teach us. Wellness is knowing that you need to improve some things that you're going through. Now, as a collective, black people as a collective, we're going through some changes right now. And that's because they know who we are. We don't. And they're trying to prevent us from getting to that level of who we really are. So how do they do that? They mentally attack us. They mentally attack us by saying certain things, or not hiring you, or not wanting you to come to their establishment. They just make up stuff. They see a black person and they made up something to tell you the reason why you can't come in. They keep a lot of stuff started with us. So, with that being said, we really have to sit down and think. Why do we need to go in their establishments? Why do we need to deal with them? Well, when you at work, understand you have to deal with them, and they come with their foolish games. They have a mentality of a 2-year-old. They come with their foolish games, and it's the same. What they don't understand, they doing the same thing over and over. It's a pattern. They never change. It's the same thing they've been doing hundreds and centuries ago. The same thing, and it never changes. Example: tenderism. What happened to him? That man did what his ancestors used to do to us, to tenderism, but it backfired. Karma came to him. The ancestors wasn't playing. You see, they haven't changed. Their mentality, their thought, the way they process things have not changed. It's still the same. So a lot of our wellness, a lot of our illnesses, and a lot of the things that we're going through mentally and physically is coming from the enemy. Because our ancestors didn't get sick like that. The ancestors that we know that might have passed away, that lived to be in their hundreds and their 90s and 80s, they weren't eating this garbage that we're consuming. I remember my grandmother said, like, might go get some KFC, because KFC was the thing back then, or some Church's chicken or something. She was like, there ain't supposed to be no blood on the bone. When you cook it and you see that little dark stuff, she's like, that ain't supposed to be there. They didn't drain the chicken right. If they drained the chicken. Okay? She lived to be in her 90s. But my thing is, the mental and physical wellness of the people from her generation and before her and so on, they were more healthier than the generations now. Physically. They were physically more healthier. And so our wellness comes from knowing ourselves, decolonizing ourselves, when we figure those out, we will be good. And another thing about black people, if you look into history, not even when I was growing up, black women, if you're listening to this, the younger generation, you have some older people, but it's mostly the younger generation. You don't have to twerk your butt to get attention. You don't have to do all those things to get attention. I'm seeing too much of that, and it's not necessary. And I see a lot of the black men, I'm not going to say all, just like it's not all the women, females, but some of the black men get mad when a female don't want to talk to you and you want to beat her up or kill her. You really need to not be in a relationship. You need to sit down and figure out, why would you cuss her out, an individual out, because they don't want to talk to you. You really need to sit down. A lot of this stuff we can sit down and clear on our own as well. What made you get to the point that you want to cuss a female out because she don't want to talk to you? Or you want to kill her or beat her up? Rejection. Somewhere in your childhood, you was rejected. That is not that female's problem. That is your problem. And women, we don't have to show everything to get attention. Because after all that body is gone, what you got left? You're going around putting implants everywhere on your body, destroying your whole body. We got to get some mental wellness going on. The things that we think are important are not important. We're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing on the women, focusing on being showing everything sexual. You got your boobs popping out. You got your shorts way up to where you can't hardly see. You don't have to show sexuality to get a man. Men, keep your hands off the females. You don't have to beat the females. Let's decolonize ourselves. If you feel like you got to beat somebody, another person's child, then you need to walk away and deal, because there's something going on with you. The same thing with the women. They hit the men too. You shouldn't be raising your hand at a man if he didn't raise his hand at you. Now, if he raised his hand at you, I understand you want to protect yourself. I get that. But don't raise your hand at the man. So the men going through some things, the women going through some things, and we taking it out on each other. And we don't need to. We got to get this mental wellness together. We're doing things that's not in a black person character. Because when we were growing up, we see the white kids do things and we looking like, y'all can do that? You know, we couldn't do that. You know, I think they need to bring some things back, like when we were children, our parents would knock us out in the middle of the store, in the middle of the street. It don't matter. Did nobody go run? I'm calling the police and I'm calling. Did nobody do that? We need to get that village. I know you don't want everybody in your village, but we need to get a village. We need that village. Because when I was growing up, it was a village. If I did something, by the time I got home, they already knew. It was a village. The parents weren't going up to the schools wanting to jump on the staff, the teachers and stuff. The parents was like, what did you do for that to happen? They didn't have that type of stuff when I was in school. We got to get back to the village. With the wellness, mental health, and physical health, we got to get back to the village. It takes a village. Black people are a village people anyway. Everybody's our cousin, niece, auntie, uncle, nephew. Because that's how we are. It's in our DNA. But what they did to us was made us individualized, a lot of us. Because they're individualized. They see a bunch of us together and they want to assume something bad is happening. Not necessarily. That's just how we are. We like being groups, you know, that's just who we are. But sometimes people do get violent because they have to learn how to deal with the way they're thinking and why are they thinking that way. They have to learn how to deal with that. You don't always have to, when I was coming up and somebody was fighting, they had a gun, had a knife. It was equivalent to a gun today. You know, a knife. You don't have to shoot somebody because you got beat up. You don't have to shoot somebody because they said something wrong to you. You don't have to kill nobody because of that. We don't have respect for life. And that is because we're living in a matrix that we don't belong in. In order to get better as a people, as black people around the diaspora, we have to decolonize our mind from the way of thinking, from the way they want us to think. Like years ago, I couldn't have went to work with locks. But it's becoming acceptable because everyone is wearing them. So what you gonna do? But I advise people, the younger people, and maybe even the older, but the younger people, I advise you to work for a few years, save up enough capital to start your own business. While you're working, start the business. Even if you have children, start the business. Our wellness is going to come when we start generating our own funds without working for someone else. When we start generating our own, they can't tell us what to do. And some things that we go by, financial wellness. Let's get to financial wellness. Some things we go by we don't need. You don't need that Gucci whatever. You don't need that Louis Vuitton whatever. You don't need that stuff. You don't need it. You're going to go buy a shirt that's $200 when you can go make it yourself for maybe $20 or $50. Louis Vuitton. All those symbols on the Louis Vuitton bag, they got that from Africa. Once again, all those symbols on a Louis Vuitton bag, scarf, whatever you buy, Louis Vuitton, all those symbols came from Africa. Research it. We need to quit spending unnecessary money. We need to get rid of all these women. We need to get rid of all this these fake wigs and stuff. We don't know, for spiritual people, we'll understand. We don't know what they're saying over this hair. They could be putting curses, um, um, speaking curses on your hair, and you going to buy, I want that lace wig right there. You don't know what type of curses on that wig. We need to leave that stuff alone. Wear your own hair. They wish they had your hair. You going around trying to look like them, and don't get me wrong, I did the same thing. I had lace wigs. Yes, I was doing it. I went to cosmetology school also, and they was teaching us black women how to damage our hair. I didn't know then. My mind wasn't like it is now. Teaching us how to destroy our hair. I had the Jerry curls and all that. We gotta leave that stuff alone. Leave them chemicals alone. Leave those wigs alone. We don't know what's being attached. Because that wigs came from another person's hair. And we don't know what they were saying over their hair or what they did. Because your hair is alive. We don't know what they did. They might have been killing babies or whatever. They might have been doing all types of stuff. And then they went and sold their hair and you got it on your head. And you wonder why you acting crazy. Stop wearing other people's hair. I understand black people. I understand black women. I understand. But you got to get to the point where you don't need to wear their hair anymore. Take it gradually. That's financial wellness. We need to start getting into financial wellness, not buying things and making other people rich. If black women for a whole month stop going to the beauty supply stores, they'll grow broke. We're buying stuff, unnecessary stuff that we don't even own. I think it's one black beauty supply store here in Highland Park. We're making them rich. Financial wellness. Stop making other ethnic people rich. Stop buying unnecessary things that you really don't need. You have your own hair. God gave us our own hair. Learn how to deal with your own hair. Financial wellness. Physical wellness. Whatever you put on your head, whatever you put in your body, has a lot to do with how you act. Whatever you're wearing has a lot to do with your body. I want everyone that's hearing my voice, I want you to take up a herbalist class. I had herbalist 1 and 2. Take up a herbalist class. Some people might need to stop eating meat because we don't know what they're putting in the meat. We don't. I need to stop eating meat because we don't know. Grow your own vegetables. Grow your own vegetables. In an apartment, they got grow bags now that you can buy or buckets. Grow your own stuff. You don't have to go digging in the dirt. Grow your own stuff and taste the difference. Physical wellness. So we have mental wellness where we have to decolonize our mind. Financial wellness. Then we need to quit buying stuff that's not necessary. Physical wellness. We need to take care of our bodies like our ancestors did. Our ancestors didn't buy unnecessary stuff. No, they didn't. They didn't just eat anything. Physical wellness. Now, we have one more wellness. Getting along wellness. We need to learn how to get along with people. We have to understand everyone is not like us individually. Every individual have their own personality and their own struggles and happiness or whatever that they've been through their lives. We have to understand that everyone is different. Everyone's point of view is different. So we can't be beating somebody up because their point of view is different than ours. You want somebody to beat you up because your point of view is different than theirs? Come on, people. We have to learn how to get together. Everyone can teach someone something, but you can't get mad because you don't agree with it. So we have to learn how to get along with each other again. Because at one point, black people were getting along because we were all in the same predicament. Now we have black people up here, like your famous singers and actors, that think they're better, and they don't want to be a part of us because other people had taught them how to damage us through music. And some of them going to jail now. Look at who run the music industry. So the drugs are out here, but it's not like it was in the late 70s and 80s and 90s. That it would never be like that again. They put the drugs out here in the black neighborhood to kill us off because they know who we are and we don't. So they had to put a stop to it. Just like they broke up the marriage, because when we come together as black woman, black man, black child, as a family unit together, and we combine with this family unit, they know we're unstoppable. So they had to break us. They broke the black woman up from the black man, and they threw drugs in after they dismantled and killed and all types of things to the Black Panthers. So once again, we still stand, but we have to understand they're getting ready to throw something else at us. And we need to be prepared so they cannot win. We need to be prepared. We need to be financially, mental, physical, and spiritually prepared. Now, the spiritual part, that's a long